Welcome to Dear Grandchildren, A Tracker's Tale. I'm Michael Douglas, your guide on this journey into the heart of nature and the wisdom that it holds. Here, we blend the ancient skills of survival, tracking, and foraging with modern insights to help you reconnect to the wild within. In each episode, we'll explore timeless practices, share life-changing stories, and discover how the natural world can bring you mindfulness, resilience, and purpose. But this podcast is more than just a show. It's a community. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcast, where you'll find exclusive content, question and answer sessions, bonus tales. For those seeking a deeper connection, explore our workshops and experiences, or even bring me to your community for an unforgettable adventure. Now, let's step off the trail and into a possible nature experience that could change how you see the world. Let's begin. All right, welcome back, and I hope that you've had a few laughs and endorphin releases and amazing special moments watching a sunrise or a fox make tracks, or just getting out of the car and standing still long enough to determine by the sensation of the wind on your face which direction the weather is coming from and where it's heading before you enter that next building. It's not about quality of experience. It is about quality of experience. Damn it. For the overwhelming amount of daily dosage and self-maintenance time, it's not about the quantity of the experience. It's about the quality of the experience. And so we're going to have quality experiences with endorphin releases and being fully present, even if it's just 20 seconds. 20 seconds can be an eternity if you're just enjoying the sound of a bird and passively observing the direction from which that voice comes, softening your eyes into wide-angle vision until you see a movement, versus, I've got to find that bird. Oh, dang it, I'm out of time. That did not do any good. That was the wrong application of that moment because you've just fed the sense of rush. And the idea was to step off that train and let it zoom past you to remind you of who you are before you walk into that place of work where you do your craft. Now, your craft is, yeah, sure, what you need to do for your work, and you're going to do it well, of course, but the bigger part of it is self-maintenance. Coming from a place of relaxed creativity gives you much more ability to problem solve, to approach things creatively, to see outside the box, to pull your head out of the project, to look for others who can help you. There's many gifts to being in that moment. Now, once you've had a few of those, you're ready to jump back into the work of what happens when dis-ease comes up. We're not focusing on dis-ease to feed it. We're examining it as if it were a poisonous plant. We have our gloves, our tweezers, we're looking through our spectacles or our lenses at each of these things only long enough to figure out for ourselves what the antithesis of that is. What is the opposite energetic or frequency of that pain that you feel when you miss an important family event? Well, it's to go connect with family, isn't it? You can make phone calls, but wouldn't a visit to that one person who you wanted to see do the trick? Oh, but who's got time for that? You know how expensive gas is these days? Well, then I guess it didn't bother you enough. Or you don't care enough about yourself that you're going to let that fester in there. And usually it turns into resentment. How come you didn't tell me about this? You knew about this for 2 weeks and you didn't tell me? That doesn't do any good. That's spreading the poop. So, we started with these 11 symptoms of dis-ease or grief, and we've attached a track. Where did this come from in our ancestral collective wisdom? In every society that was hunter-gatherer or nomadic, these tools existed, but the folks who had the bravery and the love to pass it forward through the chaos that we've all shared through the millennia, and who hold it to create good neighbors by sharing these technologies. that I've found that were in my life were Jake and Judy Swamp of the Mohawk, the Wolf Clan specifically, who shared these 11 symptoms so that we're good neighbors to the Mohawk, to the Iroquois, the people of the Longhouse, and to all of the original nations. We honor these gifts by using them in respect so that the collection of unborn grandchildren, regardless of their place of birth, color of skin, language of origin, ethnicity, or geography, have a better world than we did. There's always room for improvement, just as there's always room to cast blame. But one produces a certain degree of result, and the other one produces a completely different result. And we have the power to choose either or both. And so this dis-ease will come. And we started with our mind to the mound, the first, where we dwell on the past. And so the antithesis of that is to be appreciative and present in our moment now. What can we be thankful for now? And then feed that thought pattern until it permeates everything. Now, that dis-ease that came to you, whether it was a sudden death in the family, a car accident, maybe you were at fault at creating a broken relationship, or we all have fault in it, don't we? But turn that into an appreciation for the lessons learned, the wisdom you now carry, the empathy that is on board, the sense of sacredness for this now understandable, we understand that it's a temporary life, and we're not going to squander it on dis-ease. All right, so there's those things. Next one was a series, my eyes are clogged with the dust of death. I don't see the beauty in life anymore. Well, then go out and find it. Until you find it, your homework isn't done. Same thing with dust of death clogging my ears. Every time someone says something to me, I think they're up to something or want something from me. Well, one day I woke up to look for my friends and I couldn't find any enemies. So the next day I woke up to look for my enemies. And wouldn't you know it, I couldn't find any friends. Your choice determines how you perceive the information around you. Do you choose to celebrate life and value everyone around you? Suddenly, even if they are trying to get something from you, you recognize it for what it is, but you're in a place to help that person in a manner that doesn't suck your soul dry. And maybe inspires them into a direction that's more healthy interacting with you. Nice hat. Does that mean nice hat? Or, hey, that's a nice hat. Where'd you get it? Right? It lands on you to choose how that's going to go. Same thing with your throat is clogged with the dust of death. This one's a challenge. You want a homework assignment for this podcast episode? Speak nothing but good things about people, especially those that are no longer in your absence. Expert level? Think only the good thoughts, the productive thoughts, the healthy thoughts that develop mutually beneficial relationships and reverse entropy or the law of diminishing returns, so they create bounty. Only thoughts that are allowed in your brain. And if they come in quick and furious, those thoughts of dis-ease, jujitsu them into the opposite. There's the mastery level of it, right? Actually, mastery level is, and then not only believe it, internalize it, but act, express your words and actions towards making it real. Oh, that's some medicine healer work stuff there. Woo! And have fun doing it, and don't get caught. So that was the first four. The fifth one is dis-ease in your stomach, yellow spots in your stomach. So you're kind of, this doesn't feel right to me. Turns into ulcers if left untreated, right? Well, make ease for yourself. If you can't track where that dis-ease is coming from and how to turn it into good compost to grow something more productive, something that's less stressful in your life, well, then at least make room in your life to recover and reclaim your birthright of being at ease. Meditate, do Tai Chi or yoga or soft skills martial arts. I mean, if you find the zen of it in grappling, rolling, then yeah, some jujitsu would be wonderful, right? But maybe you want to paint. or create off the cuff poetry, or sing in a culvert with your daughter. That's my gig. I'm happiest when I'm spending quality time in nature with my children, and each of them expresses it differently and at different times of the year. I'll build something with my oldest son. I'll walk the woods and talk about plans with my middle son. And with my youngest, my daughter, we go and try to catch snapping turtles and sing in the culvert under the bridge. Or we'll go to karaoke and sing. We'll sing out our dis-ease together. It's a celebration of we've collected all of this crap. Let's get it out together. Squeeze it like a big ol' zit. Hey, to each their own. Find your magic with it, though. As you deal with these symptoms that come up, they do not define you. They are messages for you to create the better you. The next one, number 7. Blood is on your chair. You ever go to a meeting and there's somebody who shows up late with some device in their hand and they're pouring their attention into that? They're not really there. They sit down, they're fidgety, they look at schedules, they try to answer things quickly, half informed, and then they get up and leave. They're the first to go. Or a relative, this one's mine, I own this one. A relative who says, oh, gotta go, see ya. And they're the first one out the door. They can't wait to escape. Well, half of that is I'm a caveman and I don't feel alive or full unless there's open sky above my head. But the other half is there's always a place to go because being here is miserable. And that sounds rude when you have family you haven't seen in years. But you get saturated within 45 minutes and you still have 2 days. What are you going to do? Yeah, that is a sign of dis-ease. Track it. What is the track of it? I feel incomplete and inept at dealing with in-depth social conversations or prolonged chatting. I've learned that chatting is a master skill in venting at a sociable level without imposing too much emotional burden or focus on anybody, while being in a space to take that which will come. And if you're all in the same space with chatting, shooting the shit is another term for it, then you can have endless hours of enjoyable conversation and storytelling and glean a lot of wisdom and insight from it as it starts to flow. But if you're already in a flow of in-depth perception, nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear how you've tracked their old knee injury by the way they walked across the carpet to get the olives from the table during the family reunion. Hey, Uncle Joe, did you get shot in the leg? You're walking like you have an old knee injury. That stuff gets awkward to people who aren't used to every conversation being meaningful. And if you've acclimatized to that, which you will if you're in the woods, every conversation becomes meaningful, folks. The wind changing means the world to the movement of animals and their knowledge of your presence. And you take it for that level of importance. And so too does the tracks of a coyote, the call of an owl, the alarm of a robin, the fish jumping in response to the mayfly hatch. It's incredibly important because it pertains directly to you and your life-sustaining systems, or it can. And it's incredibly rewarding to have that level of authenticity in each calorie that you expend, each word that you would use, each thought that would come up means something, and it's important. So when you do that in the modern world, it freaks people out. They get burnt out trying to keep up with that level of intensity. And you don't feel intense, you just feel real. Even if you're relaxed and at ease, your observations and ideas are a little bit too much for the modern world. Right? And so you have this desire to leave the place that you feel awkward in. Blood on your chair. Well, track that. Reclaim your sense of ease and learn how to be comfortable in the midst of all of that. Don't own other people's stories as much. Don't let them in as much. Observe them as they were characters in a play, presenting to you the beauty and tragedy of their life story as entertainment and education. That sounds callous, but Isn't it more rude to have to storm out early because you can't take it anymore? Isn't it more healthy and healing to just hold space and to present as if you're genuinely listening, because you are, but they see it as you respect them, not disrespect them as you storm out. We think, oh, we love them so much, but we can't take anymore. They're not a space to interpret it that way. So blood on your chair is a track. The opposite of that is learn to be at peace as you engage in humanity and stop giving so much of yourself or letting too much in. Okay, next one. Reaching for the poisonous plants. And I'm going to have to relist these after this because I'll lose track, and I want to make sure we have all 11. Reaching for the poisonous plants. I remember when marijuana was illegal, one of my favorite jokes was, would we be so paranoid if it were made legal? Well, apparently not. Isn't that funny? No one's paranoid who smokes pot. They just get fit and eat a lot of Doritos. And they go on loops, saying the same thing over and over again, too. It's fun to track when people are relaxed and creative. However, it's not just marijuana, it's television, it's screen time, it's reading a book or becoming a bibliophile to the expense of your day-to-day reality. Reaching for the poisonous plants is poisoning yourself to debilitate your perception, because what you perceive is a reality that you can't stomach. That is a big message. That's life-changing. Because that's what it's going to take to get rid of that desire, is to change your life for the better. Are you too lazy? Are you going to accept the spiral into couch potato? Some people are more than willing to accept the comfort that would disable their creativity, their individuality, their personal sovereignty, their sense of well-being, pride, love of self, for the ease of a feed bag of Doritos, a remote control, and Netflix binge at the end of every exhausting day. They've entered the hamster cage willingly, they're comfortable with the wheel, and that's their peace now. I'm not trying to save the world. I can honor and respect that for what it is, if that's their peace and they're self-actualized in that space. Wow. Good on you. For me, it was a box that was too tight and I couldn't fit. And when I tried, I always felt like I wasn't enough in the woods. And what I do now, I feel the opposite. I feel like I give too much more than I don't. And I'm strangely happy for it, but also know that it is not balance and need to reclaim something. And so the problem is, how do I do that with grace under fire? And how do I do that in a manner that doesn't detract from other people's experiences as we share in this life together? I can do more to nourish myself, and I'm working on that, and that's okay. I'd rather have it in that side of the court than on the other side. And there's a harmonic somewhere, and I'm really close to finding it. Right? So blood on your chair, and then reaching for the poisonous plants. And let me go through them up to that point. So we have your mind is buried to the mound. That means you're living in some unchangeable past event and not to the fullness of your being in the now. And to help reclaim that space, finding things to be fully appreciative of or thankful of, create something sacred for you, whether it's a sunrise or a space in the backyard where you can just sit and be, and then grow it from there, right? Then there's the three, so we'll be up to 2, 3, and 4 is dust of death, clogging your eyes, number 2, clogging your ears, number 3, and clogging your throat, number 4. Simply generate an intention to find the beauty in your life, the sacredness for being, the special moments between loved ones, whether they're past or current. And if you don't have enough of them, create them. And if they go unnoticed, laugh about it and tell the story so that they're aware of your attempts and then create an ally, right? So now you're taking those things that would divide, which grief does. It divides. It creates an us versus them because we're injured, see? The dust of death in our throats, we speak good thoughts, and it's not superfluous, superficial compliments. You look nice today. It's meaningful and targeted and inspired. Hey, I really like the way you handled that. Anyone else might have flipped out, but you patiently listened to that person. And then when they were done, you reached out to them and were helpful to them. That was fantastic, man. You know what I say that I mean? What I really mean is I wish I had that space in my heart when that happened, but you did. And thank you for being an example of what I can aim for to better myself. Right? So that brings us through 1, 2, 3, 4. Mind buried to the mound, dust of death in ears, throat, and eyes. Yellow spots on the pit of our stomach is number 5. And that's the dis-ease of just, you know something's wrong. You don't maybe know what it is, but it eventually turns into ulcers. It's that tightening in your stomach, that gut feeling that it isn't right. Something ain't right. I'm missing something. Track it. And while you're trying to define that thing and then give an action plan to reclaiming it or getting into that space, make sure you have space for ease in your life. The next one is reaching for the poisonous plants. No, blood on the chair. All right. So we have number 6 is blood on the chair. Number 7 is reaching for the poisonous plants. Number 8, a cloud is on your path and it disorients you and you find that you've lost your way on your path. Your vision has been clouded and you end up in the briars. The pricker bushes are holding you back from getting back on your path. I asked my mother if I could use her story as an example, and she said, sure. And her example is that she always wanted to be in medicine, in healthcare. But with 9 children and her being one of the women in that time frame, she didn't think it was possible. So she became a waitress. And she was a good one. And she listened to people and she joked with them. And she had a magic of connection and intuition about her that when people came through the door, she immediately could read where they were and how to meet them where they were at. And she was very successful with it. But she would spend her breaks and her off time at home watching, these doctor shows and these soap operas that were doctor themed with hospitals. And I grew up with watching her watch those shows and talk often about how she always wanted to be a nurse. But in her last part of her life, she found her voice with it and became a hospice worker and walked people through that door to the other side because she was the only one strong enough out of her siblings, my uncles and my aunt, who are all great, wonderful people. She was the only one who had the strength to be with my father when he died and with my grandmother and grandfather when they died, all within 2 years' time in the same room of the house that she raised her children, me and my sisters in. And I mean, I admired my mother for being a warrior growing up. And in that time, I admired her for being an incredibly strong and passionate healer who endured places nobody else wanted to be because she had that much love in her heart. Right? So the next ones. If you have clouds on your path, self-doubt and distraction, it might take you decades to find your way back onto your path fully again and in the clarity of space it takes to do so with a sense of thankfulness and an unconscious competence. It doesn't turn off anymore. It is you. You become that as an elder. I'm not there yet. I want to grow into it, but I haven't found a way to do it that's sustainable and in balance. And it's a process, and I'm crafting it someday, but not today. Because part of it is you have to grow up, I think. Or maybe. The other part is the next step is ancestor, and who wants to rush that? So, in this between time, I use these tools in this manner to encourage and increase and strengthen and to remind myself to be empathetic and to be in the moment and not to give too much away and to do this dance in lifetime. But then there's this other piece that is more, it's it's harder for me to deal with, and this is the next one, and that's that there's a disk covering the sun, meaning you don't believe you have a purpose. I don't know what that's like. I've never not had a purpose. I was told to go outside and play, and so I had to create a purpose. We're going to build a tree fort. We're going to have a club. We're going to have dirt bomb fights with the neighbors, which means we got to call everybody and organize it. I'm going to plant a garden with my grandfather. The purpose was, what do you love to do and how do you do it? And then you start to shape it into, how can I serve my people with this? How can I fit this into making a living? How can I grow into a responsible adult and then father, a family member, grandparent? And you start to feed and grow that. Well, I don't understand how people don't have that. And I've seen it. I've seen people who have that. I understand that exists, that there's a disc covering their idea of a purpose. Hey, what do you do? What's your gig? What do you mean? I work here. No, I mean, like, what lights you up, man? What's your purpose for living? What's your passion-based life all about? Passion-based life? Dude, I'm here because my parents fornicated. I'm worm food waiting to happen, just like you. Stop it with all this freaking cosmic cow, unicorn fart sunshine. I don't need this flying buffalo flying over my head with rainbow farts. Take your chicken feather shaman woo-woo and go elsewhere. Yeah, there are people who believe they don't have a purpose. They take joy often in harming others. Narcissism is a symptom of this lack of purpose thing. Sociopathy is rampant in this. And I see people who were lit up as a kid. They knew what they wanted to be when they grew up, as ridiculous as it might have sounded to us adults. We always wanted to be fill in the thing, garbage man, to have snowball fights on the back of the garbage truck. Tee-hee, right? But as we honed it, as we deepened our understanding of the living world around us, we became more rooted in our purpose, and it became more directional and more discerning, more profound and sacred to our walk. It became what drove us. It woke us up in the morning with a smile and excitement, and it brought us back to bed exhausted with that same smile. And that was wellness. That was the symptom of a whole human being. So the black disk covering the sun, having no purpose. I don't know how to work with people with that one. How do you work with somebody and guide them to learn how to care about their vision if they don't care to care about their vision? And then there's personal sovereignty, respecting that choice, if it is a choice. Right? The next one is having no thankfulness in your heart. And I've done this, people say, hey, you got a relative who's got a graduation. You should go and celebrate. Yeah, oh man, you should have told me before. I have all of these commitments. I wish I could go. Everybody sees through that. The lame ass excuse syndrome, where if you could come up with the lame ass excuse, they have no choice but to believe it, because they want to believe you're a good person, and you're going to take advantage of that opportunity to undermine their belief in you being a good person. Because you believe they believe you. You just can't be bothered. We all have I just can't be bothered. The apathy, the nothing of Atreyu in the never-ending story that eats away at the creative fabric of the universe. Apathy. It can devolve into something serious if we let it. So sometimes we've got to shake it off and go outside against our best wishes until we feel good about, I'm glad I went. I didn't want to go to this thing, but now that I'm here, thank you. You ever have those moments? There's more of them missed than you want to admit to, than I want to admit to. Remember that. It'll help you get to decide to muster up some thankfulness enough to get your ass in gear and change your life for the better, to be present for someone else's breakthroughs and things that come with that. The material that comes with that is valuable. The insights of, I remember when I went through this experience, and the ancillary realizations. I wish I had this many people celebrating Was I there for my own children when this happened? I mean, it'll compel you to do good things. And it's not from shame. It's from recognizing loss and wanting to balance it out. Well, how many is that? I'm counting in my head, but I should do it out loud for you because you can't hear what's in my head. Mind to the mound, throat, ears, and eyes clogged with the dust of death. Yellow pits in the stomach. Blood on the chair. Reaching for the poisonous plants. A black disc covering the sun. A lack of thankfulness, which obviously the opposite is to be appreciative of something. What is the last one? Maybe I'm not supposed to share it. Or maybe it's supposed to wait until the next time. But remember, when a symptom of dis-ease manifests in your heart, you feel it, you know. Immediately, why is this here? What is it telling me? And what should I do about it? And that simple, consistent application of thought to feeling will make all the difference in the world. It'll make you the stronger person. I remember the last one. Your fire has gone out. This one. So in the old days, apparently, around the world, we had to have fire to live, and fires going out meant you weren't there and present to keep it. Your fire represents the wellness of your family because we're all responsible for feeding the fire, for keeping the coals going perfectly for that time when we gather together and we cook our meal and share our story of the day, right? So there's a lot to be said about a fire reflecting the wellness of how you guys get along, and our awareness when we're happy is elevated. When we're miserable, we become kind of self-absorbed, and if we're miserable and self-absorbed, often our fire is going to waver. The timing will be off for the meal, and the meal will be snowballing into something that is disjointed and not as healing as it could have been. And then we don't get good sleep because someone forgot to get the firewood, so we're up all night and tending what we can and banking coals and just getting through till the sun rises. It becomes this thing, this demon, like dirty dishes, which is the modern version of our fire has gone out. Self-maintenance starts to wane. We step over dirty laundry piles at the foot of the bed to get to our toothbrush, which is scattered on the counter, and we look at the dirty pile of dishes and realize, I need a spatula to make breakfast. Oh, bother. The imbalance that this symptom is manifesting is causing us to have to consider how we spend our waking days. And usually it's a symptom of too much or too little. Too little self-care, too much commitment to the outside world, or to something that isn't feeding us enough to give us the downtime required for self-maintenance. And you know what? That's a symptom in itself, isn't it? Calling self-maintenance downtime? What, we need a break in our busy schedule to take care of ourselves? Flip that script. We take care of ourselves so that we can go out and do our work in the world. The primary sequence of events is breathe the oxygen in before giving the mask to the little one. Because if you're unconscious, you're both dead. Now, self-care, priority number one. That's what that whole your fire is out symptom is all about, is kind of lost focus on the priorities. Self-care needs to be, it's time to take a day for self-care. It's not unthankful if you're asked to the ball game with your buds or to the event that you know people would love to see you at, and you say no because you need to do self-care and get your meals pre-made and your laundry done and your house cleaned and your dog washed. Those subtle things aren't selfish. You need them to operate. And being at the best of your game is the best gift you can give those people. You see how it's a tricky dance? And you have to jujitsu it. And as long as those actions leave a wake of increased respect for self and others' relationships, bounty, balance, and flow. You've done your job. And so there it is. Thank you, Jake and Judy. Thank you, Wolf Clan, Mohawk Nation, Iroquois Confederacy. For generations, you've held space in the most violent extremes for these tools that generate peace amongst people and health and wellness and balance amongst all of the living things in this world. And to put them back online in the face of such division in this world is a struggle. But it's a struggle worth enduring and growing into until it no longer becomes a struggle, because feeding the idea of struggle creates more struggle. It's a struggle of transition into something healthier. And I look at the people I know who are from these places, who practice these ways, and they have peace in their heart, and they have things come up and they deal with them in amazing ways that I can only be in awe of and emulate as something to grow into, even in my 50s. But thank you for giving me something to grow into, for holding an example. And for the rest of us out here floundering, you know what's a really cool image? Being the light in the dark room. When you feel unsupported, be thankful for you, carrying the tools that you carry, being here, because nature isn't stupid and it's incredibly efficient. So that you're here means there's a reason for it. And that will be the end of that run. But there's more as we wrap that bundle of dealing with the dis-ease that comes up, the grief that comes up, and keeping it small and manageable. And that's the tools to get us back into that space of wholeness of being. And we've gone over it with the 7 symptoms of a whole human being, gifted by Gilbert Walking Bull. And then we're going to use some tools to get kind of silly with it, so that we don't take ourselves so seriously that we don't have fun anymore. Because fun is one of the most accelerating means of increasing our skill level. Endorphin release while working with skills. Yeah. So till then, I'll see you on the trail. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Dear Grandchildren, A Tracker's Tale. If today's journey resonates with you, I invite you to share it with others who long for a deeper connection to nature and themselves. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts for bonus episodes, exclusive question and answer sessions, and more tales from the wild. Your support through subscriptions, feedback, or simply spreading word keeps this flame of ancestral wisdom alive. And if you're ready to take the next step, contact the Central School at primitiveskills.com or email staff@primitiveskills.com to learn all about our workshops, experiences, lectures, expeditions, and how we can bring these teachings directly to you. Until next time, may your trails be clear and your heart full. Keep exploring and keep the fire burning.